Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull, and in today's video, we'll be breaking down our big board for the 2025 recruiting class, and can we break into the top 5 according to On3. Everything's going to be based off of today's date, Monday, June the 10th. We all know that this stuff can change by the hour, by the day, and it will most definitely be changing week to week because people are going on those official visits. But as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I know that we always say that, but it really does mean a lot. It helps for our video to get promoted and pushed out to more and more viewers. It helps our channel grow. So we really do greatly appreciate all the support that we've been getting from so many people. Okay, we see y'all. Okay, we've been watching y'all. Thank y'all for all of it, but let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, so we have a few numbers to get through today, but I'm going to do my best to simplify and break things down in a way that we can all stay on the same page. So the first thing is just going to be that keep in mind this team does still have a scholarship limit from the Jeremy Pruitt era. Basically what that looks like is over the next 4 seasons, we cannot exceed 83 scholarships. That breaks down to about 20 scholarships per season, but we can go up to 23 in any given single season. We just cannot exceed 23. So basically I'm saying that we can get up to 23 one season and then maybe the next year we only get 18. Over the course of the next 4 seasons, we cannot exceed 83. That's how that all works. So I would say that we're probably only going to be taking about 20 this year based off of the way that things are trending. It seems like we're being very, very selective, looking for that quality over the quantity. And I mean, that's not a bad thing, especially because now we have the transfer portal. And with the transfer portal, we can add a few more players that aren't necessarily on scholarship, but they're using NIL, right? So we could say if a player is asking for $100,000, hey, look, here's your $100,000 on top of whatever, room, board, tuition, all that stuff is as well, so that all that's paid for. That's how we can do things now. And I do think that we would use that mostly for the transfer portal. It's probably not going to come from a lot of players that are coming out of high school unless it's just a monstrous class with some guys that are can't miss, generational types of talents that just love Tennessee. And also we have like a pressing need at those positions. That's about how things would look from that perspective. But I do want to go ahead and bring up On3's final recruiting rankings for 2024, because this is going to tell us and it's going to show us exactly what we need moving forward if we want to be a top 5 class that can only bring in 23 or less commits. And the only team that finished in the top 5 with 23 or less commitments was right here, number 4, Ohio State. They had 2 5-stars, 14 4-stars, and 6 3-stars with a total of 23 commits. And they had an average rating of a 91.88. This right here, I believe, moving forward is going to be the most important metric for everyone to be measuring coming from On3, because this talks about the quality of your class as opposed to the quantity. We all know that with the transfer portal era, NIL era, people are going to be moving all over the place. You want to be able to bring in a good quality of players. It's not always just about how many players you're bringing in. So we'll talk more about that here in just a second, but I also just want to highlight over here the total overall score. That's kind of a complicated situation that On3 uses, but I think that they got it the closest to right. Basically what they're doing is on a weighted scale, they're averaging their overall grades from each player with 24/7 Sports, Rivals.com, and ESPN, and that is how they come up with that ranking right there. We'll talk more about that here in just a second, but I want to kind of move on over here to our 2025 recruiting class, and as y'all can see, currently we're at number 15 in the entire country. We're number 8 in the SEC. We have 10 commits. But I want to break down how On3 gets their average overall ratings. And if you look at GMAC right here at the top, he's got a rating of a 97.01. Ethan Utley is going to have a rating of a 92.18. And then Redarius Jackson is going to have a rating of a 91.32, so on and so forth. What On3 does is they take all of these ratings, they average them together, and that's how they come up with this grade right here that we are seeing from On3 in 2024's overall recruiting rankings. And as we're scrolling on down here to our Tennessee Volunteers, the best way for me to try to explain this for how we can get to the top 5 moving forward is if you look at our average rating right here at a 90.79, and then you look over here at the overall rating at 91.521, it's about a point away. So what I have noticed as I've just kind of looked through everyone's ratings and all that type of stuff is once you get up over 21 commits, whatever your average overall rating is, you can expect for the final overall score amongst every other site that's out there that On3 is using to come up with that score to be about a point higher. And the higher that you get up over 21 commitments, the bigger the difference is going to be from the average score to the overall score. So as you're just kind of looking through here, y'all might kind of get what I'm saying, right? As we scroll back up, we could talk about a team like, let's just say, I'm not going to say Georgia, but let's say Miami, right? So their overall average rating was a 90.43, but then their overall score was a 92.827, and they had 27 commitments. That's what I'm saying. The further that you get from 21 commits, like the higher that you get up over 21 commits, the higher your overall score is going to be. So let's keep that in mind as we're moving forward, and I hope that that makes sense. Now let's take a look at our big board. The players over here to the left up under great position are the ones that I think Tennessee has an 85% chance or higher to land. Over here to the right up under good position, these are the players that I think that Tennessee's at about a 78 to an 84% chance to land with. And Shady Hayward is one that I would say Tennessee's at about an 84% chance to land him. Of course, a lot of this is going to be predicated off of how the official visits go, and those days are going to be right up under each player in black. So if you look all the way over to the right, those numbers are going to be their ratings according to On3. And as we're looking over here to the left, let's just say, what if Tennessee lands all the players that we're in a great position with? Well, our average score goes from a 90.79 to a 92.47. And at that point, we're right on the cusp of being at a point where we could feel pretty comfortable about breaking into that top 5 overall, but we would only have 17 commits. Keep in mind that for that to hold true, we need to have 21 commits. I think that the number that we would want to have with 21 commits or more is, about a 92.5 overall as far as the average. So that's what we're shooting for. And even if we land everyone over there on the left, we're not going to be there. Now, we would have to land a few people from the right. I will say this. You see 2 5-stars on the top of the left over there with a great position odds. And then there's 2 on the right that we have good position odds to land with. I'll talk about a guy like Caleb Cunningham as a 5-star wide receiver from Mississippi. People don't know where he's going. They're saying, well, he might go to Ole Miss, he might go to Mississippi State. I don't feel, I don't have any problems. I don't feel like there's any reason that Tennessee can't beat those 2 schools out. The other school that is in the lead for him, I think they might be in the lead totally for him, is Auburn. And he's kind of another one where it's like, man, look, he goes on a visit, and whoever he visits, now that school is his new leader. I think that Tennessee could win him if they really want to. It's all going to be up to how much does this staff covet him? What are they willing to do to get him? But if they want him, they can most definitely get him. So that's one that we could maybe kind of, sway things with. I just don't know how much does the staff feel like, look, we're going to try to, allocate a whole lot of resources, we'll say, to a, relatively unproven true freshman wide receiver with a whole lot of upside and talent. Or we could just save that money and go and get someone that's more proven in the transfer portal. I think that we might kind of be leaning more towards, if they don't absolutely love us and if they're asking for too much, then we're going to be going to that transfer portal and spend all that money on someone that has been proven either playing in the SEC or just in Power 5 football in general. Now, the next player, Isaiah Gibson, is another 5-star player. He's a defensive tackle. Committed to USC, but sounds like, Alabama, UGA, and Tennessee actually is very high up on his list as well. Are some schools that could kind of sway him. If we wanted to get him, I think that we could be in a pretty good spot to land him. We'll see what happens with that on June the 14th. Shady Hayward, like we just talked about, man, 84% odds for me. I could definitely see us kind of, swaying everything and him committing to our Volunteers whenever it's all said and done. But it is a little bit iffy for me that he sets a commitment date right after he visits UGA. I think that says a lot. And I think that I heard or read somewhere that he's supposed to be going back on an unofficial visit to UGA after he visits us. I think that we're supposed to be his last OV. So we don't know what's going to happen there. But Damian Shanklin, playing defensive end, he's one that's very high up on Tennessee. I think that we could end up getting him. He's a 4-star. All right, so maybe he kind of, jumps in with this. Jared Smith is another one I could say the exact same thing that I just said about Damian Shanklin. Travis Smith is a player that I've said here recently. I think that he's going to Georgia, but he brought up something that made me kind of feel like he might be coming to Tennessee. He brought up Mike Matthews. Mike Matthews is a player that's also from Georgia. And Travis Smith said, man, look, I'm kind of going through what Mike Matthews went through, where everyone's pressuring him to stay in state. But I never felt like Mike Matthews was going to UGA. I said it's either going to be us or it's Clemson. But at that time, it was like us, Clemson, and UGA. But he just does not strike me as that type of a player. And I've said this several times, but Tennessee and LSU are the schools that for sure will always have dogs on their roster. That's the core nucleus of our entire program, is being a dog. UGA is not like that, especially here recently. A lot of those players are more like front runners, and they're just going to go to the team that's the hottest, the teams they're like, oh, this team's winning. So, like they would either be going to UGA or Alabama or just whoever has been winning, on the most consistent basis. That's who usually goes there. Travis Smith does not strike me as that sort of a player. I think that he's going to give us a realistic look and a realistic shot. I really wouldn't be surprised at this point if he does end up coming to Tennessee, and that would be huge for us. I don't give a daggum what the ratings and rankings end up being. If we can add a big time wide receiver like that on the outside in this class, I think that we're in a really good spot. So keep a very close eye out on June the 21st for Travis Smith. Onis Cannonbanny, he's a guy that whoever he visits last is probably where he's going to go. I just feel like he is, I don't want to say easily amused, but it just seems like, he tends to ride that wave a little bit more than some of these other players. So we'll kind of see what happens there. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but the next player, Shakai Mills-Knight, who is a 3-star, I think that, we'll kind of see what happens. P and I talked about this yesterday. Feel like he might be going on to Miami. But this visit coming up this weekend, I don't know if it's going to be the only visit that his mom is coming on still, because at one point, maybe about like a month ago, this was going to be the only visit that his mom was going to be coming with him on. So that would be huge. If his mom falls in love, then he's going to have to fall in love. And I think that he would probably end up being a commitment for us. So that's pretty much how that looks as far as, the players that we're in a great position with. I think that we need to do a good job of closing out on them. But the ones that we're in a good position with, we've got to land a few of these guys. If we can land 1 or 2 of the 5-stars, along with, I would say, realistically speaking, Tennessee needs to shoot for about 3 5-stars and maybe about 10 4-stars overall. Right now, we're only at 1 5-star with GMAC. I think that we will add 2 more to get up to 3. And then we only have 3 4-stars. So we would have to add, 6 to probably 7 more 4-star commitments. And it does not look like that's going to be a very overly realistic possibility for us. So just keep that in mind, man. I think it's a lot more, again, about the quality over the quantity, as opposed to what it used to be before. So, I guess just kind of take that with a grain of salt. I think that we've done a phenomenal job of developing the talent that we have had to work with here recently. The staff is really knocking that out of the park, and we are addressing all of our needs. So we'll see what happens. It would really take something pretty much miraculous for us to finish in the top 5 as far as I'm concerned, but you never know. Some of these players, they might commit. Maybe they don't sign. Even after they sign, they can still kind of, get out of that. I've heard coaches say that several times, and I know that that's true. I know that that's a fact. So never really give up on these guys. Never really give up on these players. But I think that all in all, y'all, it's really not even about finishing top 5. It's just about supplementing your needs with the players that, this team needs moving forward. It's not just about, hey, we can be greedy and get up all these players and have 27, 28 commits, finish top 5. But the overall rating is, of like a 3-star caliber. You can do that all day long, but I just don't think that that's going to end up getting you anywhere, because most of those players are going to end up transferring out anyway. So those are just my thoughts. And, again, it's just a quick little look at how the board looks right now. Again, it's probably going to be changing here over the next few days, and we will update y'all once it changes after the OVs this weekend. But thank y'all as always for sticking all the way to the end. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.